Right, so here's my bicycle mobile CB rig for tonight. Great big heavy car battery in the back. I've got a Thunderpole, a Springer you call them. That's right, it looks like it's got a big spring in it. So Thunderpole aerial, mag mount, President Truman radio, a few connectors. I'm going to find a metal tray to put the aerial on. Hopefully that should get us somewhere. What I'm ultimately planning to do is to draw power from the electric bike batteries, which I think I can do through the charge port there, which as far as I can tell connects directly to the battery, and the charge control electronics are actually in the charger itself rather than in the battery pack. I have tested it with no obvious ill effects, so to an extent I'm just waiting for some bits to come through the internet to actually make a kind of a power supply to convert from the 36 volts in here to 13.8. So this is it. So tonight, or a little bit later, I'm going to be heading up the hill with this gear to meet a friend and maybe do some astronomy, and also I thought I'd take this with me and see if I can hear anyone, and maybe even have a go at speaking to somebody, although I won't have had the requisite amount of beer to give me the courage to do that yet, but we'll give it a go. I don't know what can possibly go wrong. Right, I better go. I've got the babies kicking off. Almost ready to go now. I've got my tea tray, ground plane, my mat, some warm clothes, bike lights, bike helmet, and a couple of brews, no affiliation, they're pretty good though. Yeah, battery in the back, looking all right actually. So I've got a bit of riding to do. I'll try and get some footage of the ride just to double up with the double up on the video actually, because I needed to do a bit of a video about actually riding the electric bike. So I might see if I can do that, if I can find a quiet bit of road to use. So there we go. Yeah, that will probably cut in a minute. So yeah, the setup, mobile CTX if you like, is ready to roll. Let's see how we get on. Okay, so a slightly risky bit of footage here, slightly more extreme end of my YouTube career. I'm out on the electric bike on my way to an astronomy and CB session, hopefully. It's late in the year, September, going through a bit of a scratch my nose, sorry, going through a bit of a dark bit of the forest, the lovely forest of Dean, as you can see. You can't see anything really. So yeah, no, so the electric bike seems to be working very well. I'm towing quite a lot of stuff. I've got a car battery. Well, I think I showed it in a previous bit of the film. Car battery, all sorts of gubbins, some stuff to keep me warm, stuff to repair punctures, get me out of trouble hopefully if anything goes wrong, and the bike is doing really well. I've got it on, this wind is probably not going to help, but I'll keep going and see what happens when we get to the other end, and I'll watch this back. But yeah, if you can still hear me, the bike's doing really well. I've got on 2 assists at the moment. We're out of 5, which seems to be ample for most things. and you don't really have to do a great deal at all, really. You can't see anything now, can you? This is rubbish TV, crap TV. Anyway, so while you're looking at a sort of blur of darkness and maybe some flies approaching at speed, yeah, it's pretty good. You basically don't have to do anything at all. If you find the right gear and you get the cadence right, the system pretty much takes up all the slack. So you do tend to learn the art of kind of pedaling without pedaling, if you like. You kind of pushing the pedals around with almost no effort at all. If you get to the right cadence, then the motor just really fills in right underneath you, and oh, maybe you can see a bit of sky there. There you go. Yeah, the motor really does fill in, and it just does almost everything you need it to do. And that's just on a low setting. If you go up to a high setting, God, heaven knows, I suppose you just do the same thing, just a lot faster. But yeah, so it is. It's great as a sort of electric car almost. I'm not quite sure. What's a bit tricky is the fact that it's quite. When you actually start to override the motor in it and start to do any work, you feel the actual effort required to keep moving. It almost feels like you've put the brakes on. It's very odd. You haven't. It's just that you've actually started doing some work. And that psychologically kind of feels a bit odd. It feels like almost the motor is either helping you or actually dramatically slowing you down, and the reality is that it isn't. It's either helping you or it's just not there and you're actually doing the work. So yeah, it's a funny one. So it does seem to encourage you to try to find that, or at least it made me find that kind of sweet spot where you can basically just spin the pedals over and not really have to do much, and you just fly along. So yeah, not a substitute really. I don't, for me at least, if I want to stay fit, I'm going to have to keep riding the conventional bike. But if I'm going somewhere and I feel like I want to get there in good time, and I'm towing and I don't want to be knackered when I get there, then this thing is perfect, because essentially, as I say, it's like a very exposed car. And it's great, and it's electric, so it's sort of kind of clean at the point of use at least. So yeah, so just coming up to the bridge, so I'm going to turn right here and crack on up the hill and hopefully meet my friend John and look at some celestial objects and maybe listen to some people and maybe even talk to them. So there we go. Maybe a bit of that in a minute. I'll be back shortly.
And I modded the board inside, so it